Welcome in, everyone. RFK Refugees Podcast. Ted here. John here. John made a remark at the beginning of the show saying, hey, like we got like our little like faces are like on the right side of the screen. So I decided to do a little dance to the music we have. But
like a little jig for both of us.
A little jig.
All good stuff.
John, how you doing, my friend? How was your weekend? I hope it was good.
Tired. I'm very tired. I've spent, of the last 84 hours of my life, I've spent 16 of them driving a vehicle to New York. That's been I did the cannonball run back and forth. I saw an Army football game. That was fun. I saw some family that I haven't seen in a long time. So a lot more stuff going on than the typical when you ask me, what did I do this weekend? I'm like, I don't know. Did I watch soccer? I don't even know. So actually, lived a little bit of life. What about you? What did you get up to this weekend?
I'm pulling out my Ref 6 app. Let's see. How many miles did I run in the 8 soccer games I refereed this weekend? Jesus. Let's see, 4 miles. That was the last game I did.
Miles.
It's like roughly about 4 miles per game. The AR, maybe I'm doing a little less. So yeah, that was my weekend. I'm extremely exhausted, trying to make moves during the weekend while the season's hot, or while the season's still going on. And yeah, there's tournaments and stuff, and it's on turf fields too, which I never realized why people hated turf. And then it's like you turn 30 and then you get back from refereeing a tournament. You're like, oh, this is why. My legs feel like they are about to fall off. So,
are there a lot more opportunities to ref now that you're back in Richmond?
There are. The assigner in Lynchburg said, "Oh yeah, we pay so much better." And I said, "Well, that might be true. You might pay a little better, but I'm not going to lie. Like maybe per game you pay better, but just like goodness gracious, like the amount of like adult league soccer that takes place, the amount of tournaments, all that type of stuff. You can, It's basically like, the spring's the big time in Lynchburg because there's high school. And that's really like the biggest thing. Like there's no travel that goes on in the spring. It's all high school because all the travel kids play high school. It's very different in Richmond. Richmond, it's like, there are youth teams that still participate, that still have participation in the spring. And so very different. But yeah, there's a lot more soccer, so. If he's listening, which I know he isn't, he's not going to listen to the show. Maybe someone will send it to him. I don't know. Some people maybe know I host a podcast. So.
The assigner referee. Yeah, maybe it's possible. I guess
maybe, but no, there's a lot more action. It's good to be back. I still enjoy it. It certainly has been. It's been a lot, and I'm trying to like avoid the burnout phase, which you can get in that. And I realized I came maybe a little close after like game 8. When I had like completely new ARs in a sort of dead weight tournament game, where 15-year-olds decided that they wanted to try out slide tackling. And they're about as uncoordinated as you can expect. And yeah, it made for some fun moments towards the end. But other than that, got through it. Still had a lot of fun. There's a lot of good people you can get in, around the youth refereeing. There's a shared camaraderie, I think, that goes on with it. So. But yeah, we're here to talk soccer. DC United, of course, did not play. It's the international break. So far, cross your fingers, everybody. What's that?
Didn't they, though? I think they did. I think there was a game that occurred.
There was. The Capital City Africa Cup. I think no like first team players actually played in this tournament. They were probably going to play, but I think the situation, we haven't really tweeted about it. I've been kind of following it like half eye on it. I know there were 2 players that like disappeared basically, and everybody's like, where are they? And like, oh yeah, we were just out visiting family. Like,
sure. As you do, as you sneak out of your hotel to visit family. That's what I do when I visit family. I sneak out of a hotel in the middle of the night.
Yeah, just some wild stuff going on with
But for people not to know, what happened was half a team got here and got their visas in, half like 7 players, and the rest of them couldn't. And they were trying to figure out what they were going to do. Were they going to have some sort of weird half game, like local Ghanaian legends plus them against DC United? And then the team came out, the visiting team came out with a statement saying, the game is canceled as far as we're concerned. Nothing that happens is affiliated with our brand. We're done. And I guess the people that were here still played anyway. And the Academy kids played on DC United and they lost 2-1.
Yeah.
The end.
So, I think there's some people that went out to the game. DC United, of course, I think the reason, like why are they so insistent on playing this game? It's part of like the season ticket package, right? Like it's part of like, You get
I
the
think
season
so.
ticket package,
Yes, it
and
was. Yes,
and you get like a certain number of games. Someone who has season tickets can probably tell us.
I'm thinking about my friend who was saying that she wasn't going to go, but her husband was going to go because she had no interest in going, and they're season ticket holders. So I'm sure they didn't buy him. I'm sure they didn't buy him on the second hand market. So sorry to them for not having an opportunity to see that battle of the Titans.
Yeah.
Our only chance of silverware this year, maybe. Who knows? It's entirely possible.
Yeah, entirely possible. We didn't. Well, maybe we won. We won the Capital City Cup. We won all these other trophies, and we didn't make the playoffs. So maybe this is like a sign that things they're better.
I kind of want to next year like get accredited for that and like and put up like a big table and live broadcast in front of like just to act like it's the MLS Cup final. You're really super excited about it. That'd be funny at least.
A little bit better things. Yeah. Well, but we're here to talk about teams that actually played
real games,
games that counted in the standings. Let's start some NWSL news. Pride finally lose 2-0 to Portland. I don't think I had a chance to really pay attention to this game. They're probably just resting players.
Orlando was short 5 starters in that game. So there's that. I want to drop this news nugget. This got sent to me. I didn't notice it until I got sent to me. The Boston NWSL franchise has a name, and that is Boss Nation. BOS Nation. Just the worst name. Just they might as well have been the like Girl Boss with one S. That might have been the way they would have gone. This is the worst name for a sports franchise in 25 years, I'm pretty sure. So that's going to come in 2026 unless they change their mind, and I hope they do, because that's embarrassing.
Well, they've got something. See, okay, here's something. Fans will have the official colors, logos, and a Too Many Balls campaign to rally around after a special fan celebration at Dick's House of Sport in Boston on Tuesday.
Too many balls. So celebration, I think. I mean that's what a lot of people call the bar sometimes. It's just the too many ball celebration.
Is the marketing department like 12 years old? Like,
I don't know, but I don't know. I kind of want a jersey now.
Like what? No. This is like, I hate
amazing.
This. I hate.
Just be the Breakers.
It's amazing. I
hate this.
Just
be the Breakers.
Yeah, just be the Breakers. Come up with another. Let's be clear. All right. I won't say the name is mildly creative, I guess, in a certain sense. Maybe, I don't know. It's not like Boston FC. It's not FC Boston. We've seen
give them credit for that. I guess you're right.
Give them credit, but there is a certain sense, even with some of those games, that they still take it seriously. And this just feels like no one is taking this team seriously. And just the marketing, the toomanyballs.com thing. I'm like, it's 2024. This league has now been around for 10. Like, oh my goodness. They just
amazing.
Just wild. And just awful in so many ways. I feel so bad for the fans that are probably really getting excited for this team. I don't know, man. It feels like, I don't know, is the marketing department run by Barstool Sports or something? That just feels like something.
I think I don't know. It would be like the opposite of Barstool Sports. It would be like the yin yang of Barstool Sports to do this particular, just to do too many balls. I think it would be the other way. Anyway, remind me, Bay FC's branding also not very imaginative. Mm-hmm. It's just it's like a create a team B. I'm trying to remember. I thought that they said that they did ran out of time to do jerseys at the beginning of the season, so that there's no colors, and that next year they'd actually have their real full branding allotment. I don't know if that's true. I think it is. I think it's true, because otherwise it's just like white and black, home and away, with a script B.
NWSL's in their weird like marketing phase. Like, we had the worst kept secret with the Spirit and their new black and yellow color scheme. But like, they're not changing the name. They're talking about changing the name, but they're not doing it just yet.
It's next year, I think, is the whenever it's going to happen. I think it's going to happen next year.
Yeah, we're going to have a new name change, and
it's going to be Boss Nation 2.
Yeah, I will say
Was Nation.
Yeah. I will say, when that came out and they were talking about changing the name, and we spent all those months trying to come up with like the name for what we were going to do, our split podcast where we're going to just talk Spirit. I'm glad we don't have to do that anymore, because that would have been a wasted brand opportunity.
It was, yeah. We spent a lot of time thinking about it. That was, if a long time heads will remember, there used to be a podcast network. There used to be multiple shows.
Yeah.
It was a lot of work. And I don't know that we did not see a return on investment. So we have consolidated.
Yeah.
We have homogenized to one podcast, one brand, one everything, one time a week. Because we're getting old. Mm-hmm. And by the way, I want to correct the record. I said something insane like a couple weeks ago. I said we had done 800 episodes. That is not true. That is not true. We're somewhere around 500. 800 is not. It's a lot. They're both a lot. Those numbers are both a lot, but not 800.
Let me just say this. I gotta. We'll see what happens. We make it to 1,000. We make it to 1,000 shows before DC United wins an MLS Cup championship.
Ooh, I hope not, but maybe. I think if we get to 1,000 shows, we have to get an RFK Refugees tattoo.
Yeah, we'll do that.
At that point, I think we definitely do. I think we definitely do. All right, let's talk about the game that counts. Let's do it.
We'll say. Oh, well, I guess, and I'll add up something. The Spirit win 3 NWSL championships because I think they're closer to possibly winning. Or they win 3 NWSL championships at DC before DC win 1. So keep it even. Let's talk Spirit. Let's get into it. Washington Spirit, 4-1 victors over Louisville. Obviously, coming into this game, we had talked in the show, Andy Sullivan went down with an injury. We had kind of spoken about this was bad news. Hopefully it wasn't long-term. It's long-term. She's out for the year, season-ending injury, torn ACL. Oh, man. And I think I tweeted out, I said, I think this about kills any hope I had of this team, playing above themselves, winning a championship, even faced with all the other injuries. I don't know, I don't know if I still feel any differently even after the 4-1 win over Racing Louisville. I'll get into some of my thoughts. But yeah, man, this hurts. This hurts on multiple ways for this team.
It does. Andy joining Croy and Liza Bosselman and Anna Halferty and Savannah Kuhlman on the SEI list already. Yeah, I mean, it's not good. I definitely canceled out my my NWSL championship bet for $1. I think profit on that.
Man, someone is paying attention then.
So, yeah. So I think it all comes down to Hal Hirschfeld can do. Mm-hmm. Right. I think, she started the game in Andy's position. She'll be there every game that she's healthy. And the question is, who's going to partner with her in midfield? And can she be the player she was in the first third of the year before the Olympics, where she was basically just, the first or second best player on the field every match? That's what's going to be required for them to make a deep run in the playoffs. It's just the two teams above them have, recently showed that they're better, right? Like they have made it happen. They have gotten the results on the field. Granted, the Spirit have had injuries.
What's the other team? The Pride or the other team? We're second.
Kansas City.
Spirit are second right now.
I understand, but they lost to Kansas City.
Okay.
So I'm saying that if you're worried about who you're going to match up against in the playoffs, those are two teams that can and have just shown that they can beat them. But Andy's gone. The team has to just they have to adjust here midstream, and hopefully, we will talk about the players who came back this week, but no one else can be hurt. I'm gonna put the line in the sand right here. No further injuries can occur. None more.
Yeah. Hirschfeld is a 6. I think that'll be the interesting storyline to watch. I think from a national team perspective, if I'm the U.S. Women's National Team Council, I'm watching this moment. I'm saying, hey, big moment having Andy Sullivan down. Can Hirschfeld step up? If she steps up, performs, and basically it's like she can fill that incredibly important role for Andy Sullivan. I think you have to talk about her potentially moving up the pecking order in the national team. So a big moment, for her in the awful situation that it is. I'm sure if you asked her how Hirschfeld what she wants, she would say, I'd rather have Andy Sullivan here to give us our best chance to win a championship. But still, opportunity presents itself sometimes in ways you don't want. So a good point to watch in this game. How would you assess? We'll get into some announcements. How would you assess her performance? I think that's kind of going to be the main storyline for this game.
I thought Hal was good. I think the midfield as a whole in the first 20 minutes of the game was so suffocating that they made Louisville look like they didn't ever meet each other before. They just couldn't complete any passes out of the back. Mm-hmm. The game changed over the time in the 90 minutes, but I think that was part of they showed what they could do in moments of pressing. They could sort of move balls. And, that had Heather Strainbrook and Courtney Brown, who I don't think that three has started together at any point during the season. And they all looked very comfortable with each other. So we'll see. I mean, the competition was Louisville. They're not a team that is, looking for a championship this year. I don't know where they are on the table. I think they're maybe like 6th. I haven't checked lately, but maybe not. But I thought they did. I thought they did well. I thought she was pretty good. I think that she had moments of her old self. Didn't contribute to the attack quite the way that she did earlier in the season, but that may not have been the order of the day based on where she's playing now.
Yeah, I thought the midfield was sort of good on the press. I thought a lot of the press sort of came from the front three. I thought they did sort of the brunt of the work there. The first 15 minutes of this game were all Spirit. They were just pressing. They were moving. Mickey Owen had like an opportunity that probably should have been a goal off the set piece. I mean, they were just all over Louisville. You talk about Louisville, they're not a barn-burning great team. I will say once the Spirit took off the back foot, that midfield looked very porous. Louisville were able to pass and dribble, and I think that's, a warning sign. I feel like, I felt like in this game, 4-1, I'm looking at the scoreline. I'm like, hey, man, maybe we're worried over nothing. Maybe this team can't compete. I watched that game back. I look at the goals they scored. Not that it still wasn't, a performance that the Spirit deserved to win. They were the better team. I'd say there was maybe a 15-minute gap, in the first half, and maybe 10 to 15 minutes when the score was 3-0. The Spirit were the better team out here. They were the more talented team. But, I just look at some of the moments where they kind of took the foot off the gas. And as soon as they took the foot off the gas, you would expect when having Andi Sullivan out there, she can kind of, be that player in the midfield that can stop and can read the play and can, also have this team help this team defend a little bit. And I felt like they were a little bit too easy to pass through. Louisville started generating chances and moments. There was a sequence where, once they sort of took off the pressure, Louisville were able to kind of pass and move. They made a few passes and suddenly they were on the attack. So that's a warning sign. We'll see if it gets better. Maybe it gets better, maybe once they have a couple more weeks they can work with. What did you think, I guess, of the pairing? Obviously, Hirschfeld starts at this point. Like, no question about it. Hirschfeld is the starter. Steinbrook and Brown, like, do you see any other combination maybe you would like to see, or do you think that's the combination maybe going forward?
I don't think that's going to be the combination going forward. I think there is going to be some additional there's going to be some juggling. I think I'm trying to think. They have 3 more regular season games, 2 more road games, and 1 more home game.
2 more. I think they just have Red Stars at home and then North Carolina on the road to close out the season.
Yeah, I mean, that's tough. I think I'm looking right now at the rest of who they might put in there. And you know what? I think Paige Mateer may come back at a right back. I think that might make more sense than maybe trying to turn Heather Steinbrook into a starter after maybe she's gotten, like, I think 2 starts all year long. I think she did well, but I don't know.
Taking Paige Mateer out of that right back situation. I mean, she's starting in that position for a reason. There's a reason she's starting over like a Casey Kruger, or why she's starting over, some other players, is because she's been really good in that role.
She has, but you have depth there where you're really struggling with depth in the midfield. So it may not be a preferable situation, but I might want to have her in the midfield with Kruger and Gabby Carl on the wings rather than as fullbacks rather than Steinbrook and Courtney Brown out there. But you never know. I mean, this is why you have depth, I guess, particularly young players. You get to see how they. I'm just looking. It's amazing. There's not really anything else that they can do. It's kind of what it is. Everybody else is a forward.
Yeah.
So,
I think, I think the one positive you can take from this game, again, there was rotation all over the place. The stars, the players that you would expect to be star players, Sarr, Santos, Rodman, didn't start, and this team still came out and looked dominant. I will say, when we talked about Andi Sullivan, I'm trying to remember, like, we've seen some games without Andi Sullivan.
And they were horrible.
And they were horrible.
Almost every one of them.
But it is almost a case of, like, it has been a minute since we've seen that. And this team has changed. This team has changed this year. They have moved. They have changed throughout the year. The team that started the first half of the year is not the same team that is playing right now. You have players in different positions. Mateer as a right back is a perfect example of that. Having having players like McKenna Morris, who I thought was excellent, sort of step up. So, I still think it's, Andy Sullivan's a big loss. I don't have expectations of this team winning the championship. I think there are teams that are healthier, that will take advantage. I expect them to maybe make the semifinal and then, maybe the final if things go right. But I mean, it's going to be a tough lift with the amount of depth this team, is lacking right now.
Courtney Brown has played 90 minutes twice in her career, or twice so far this season. Usually has been a sub. And Stainbrook has, I think, only played. She started the last 2 matches, but before that, only has like 30 minutes of sub time.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a real unfortunate thing for the Spirit to find themselves in a, stretched situation where they're going to. I think you're right. I think they're probably going to keep Matea where she is, and they're going to roll with one player who had a wonderful first half of the season and is trying to find her way back to form, and 2 players that you are going to just say, we're going to hope we're going to kill them with our forwards, and we're going to defend well, and we're going to have a great goalkeeper, and that might be enough. That might be get us through to give them their sea legs and get them comfortable with the way that they're playing. Obviously, they've had all year to train, and those 2 players looked decent to me. But I just think if you look at the drop off from where they were to where they are now, I think it's something to pay attention to for sure.
Yeah. First goal, McKenna Morris, I think probably comes away with the match ball, 2 goals. First goal, she I think the front pressure that had been so effective in this game, they kind of are able to pick it up. Just a bad pass by the keeper, intercepted by Morris, and Morris just rockets it into the goal. Really nicely well taken goal. And then the second one I felt like was a goal that is a goal like you want to see. That if you want to, think this team can challenge, these are what you need to see. It comes from, you talked about how Hirschfeld maybe not being involved in the pass, but she wins the ball in the midfield that leads to the pass to Kouassi. Kouassi gets the assist to Morris. You said that McKenna Morris gets the match ball. I think Rose might have a shout for maybe her getting the ball, because she was dominant throughout the game. Yeah. Here's the thing about Kouassi. I don't know. She was good. She gets the assist. I felt she was a spark of energy on the front line.
She won a penalty.
Okay, that's she deserves a match ball. I do feel like there is a sense of sort of an unpolished nature to her game. There's a couple passes I see that go awry, a couple crosses. It is an effort where she certainly brings something that I think doesn't exist. Maybe Trinity has it a little bit, though I don't consider Trinity's certainly a fast player and can move quickly. But Kouassi's speed is I'd say
that's
a touch
the tool.
above.
That's the tool. You got to remember she's 22.
That's
so
true.
She's not the finished product there. I think that you mentioned Trinity. We spoke when Trinity wasn't on the field. This team struggled to generate chances in any kind of fashion. But on the wings, particularly beating players off the dribble and outrunning them. And she's got pace for days. She is not necessarily the goal scorer that maybe a secondary goal scorer option that you're looking for. But she, I think, is going to be key to how far this team continues to go. The announcer was basically like, when everyone's healthy, it's going to be Rose, Trinity, and Ule. I don't know if you're going to have Lacey Santos be you got to figure out what the new formation is going to be. Maybe you're with Andy out, you're going to rejigger what you're going to do. Maybe not play 2 wings and a forward. Maybe you're going to, I don't know what the play is. I don't know what they're going to do. But it would be interesting to see where she fits in, because I think she's got a really important skill set that's going to help the forwards get opportunities. And also, it's going to be very hard to take Ashley Hatch out of this after she's stepped in when needed and has just been scoring goals at pretty much every match.
Yeah, she got PK in this one, but she had, like I said, she had the opportunity to start the game, and I think she's looked. When you play her in her natural role, she suddenly looks a lot better. So
it is weird like that.
It is weird like that. Yeah. Kouassi's 22. That's a good point. We'll see how she develops in this game. I think creating chances is good. By the way, it's still wild to me. Corey Bethune, 10 assists, despite
still leading.
Despite 7. We'll probably finish with the assist championship. Or but if they give something for assist, I'm not sure if they do a trophy for assists. Is wild to think about.
Rookie of the year, playing 2/3 of the season, probably still somewhere finishing in the top 10 MVP voting. Probably,
yeah.
And I think the person with 7 assists is Alyssa Thompson, who is still playing, but we'll see. Angel City is still trying to get out from their points deduction and all those other things. Apparently, I read today that it was their story is that it was about childcare payments. Like they were trying to pay for childcare for their players, but I guess outside of, they were like, I thought the rules said that this doesn't count towards our salary cap, and NWSL was like, well, it did. So
it was something like 5,000, and then anything above that counts against the salary cap, which,
LA childcare probably as bad as DC as far as expensive. So, but still, nonetheless, rules are rules, and you can't break them.
Yeah, I don't know. I get into this. It is childcare. Childcare is expensive. You would think, as a team, you would, as in a league, you would want that maybe paid for fully, and maybe who cares if that counts against the salary cap? Who cares?
Also, it shouldn't count. Also, it shouldn't.
It really.
It's like a non-monetary benefit.
Yeah, it really shouldn't. It's not going directly into the pockets. It's going directly to pay for somebody. If you want to make it, they have to. If you want to make it like a reimbursement policy, where like you pay it and then it comes back to you and like on your check on a reimbursement. That's fine. Then then you're not having
a dependent care FSA, like at my job.
Yeah,
that's
I think the reason they have it on there is they don't want situations where teams say, okay, we're going to give you $15,000 for childcare. Wink, wink. Spend it all, and then they just hand over a check. Well, it's fine. Make it reimbursement. Figure out some other way to make sure it's actually being used for. Because you're right. Like childcare in LA is going to be more expensive than childcare in Kansas City, probably. Like just difference, or Louisville especially would probably be the better example. Like there's going to be difference expenses, and making it $5,000 across the board, not going to really, not really going to go as far in some places as it would for others. So, but yeah, so I would talk about the penalty. Kouassi draws the penalty sort of off a short corner, dribbles, does a good job sort of drawing to the contact. Goes down. Trent comes in the last 30 minutes. Don't think there was really any sort of big moments. She didn't really,
other than watching her get fouled and wondering how it would if it was going to torque her back at all. That was the only thing I was paying close attention to. Backs are the worst because it could be anything at all. So you're just sort of always concerned all the time.
I think that's the injury. Like sometimes, like on injury reports, they put like lower back because it could be like it could literally be anything, and it's literally can't really report it. So. Spirit do surrender a goal, which is important for currently for goal differential as far as that goes. NWSL does not do what MLS does, where total wins is the first tiebreaker. It is goal differential is the first goal first tiebreaker. So for the Spirit, I mean, they're looking at a very, very tight race with Gotham FC for a while. That game against Chicago Red Stars, picking up a win, picking up as many points as you can. Gotham drop their next game, which who do they play? Just curious, but I'll look it up in a minute. But a goal differential matters. So that being 3-1 almost became 3-2.
Should have been. But again, Kingsbury does. I put down in our rundown that Kingsbury seems to make a big save in the last 10 minutes of every match. And I'm not going to go do the math and dig through the tape, but I'm reasonably comfortable saying that. There was an opportunity within 5 feet, and Kingsbury is able to sprawl. I think it was covered. I think Paige was standing behind her on the line. Nonetheless, sort of they slacked off for a second, and Kingsbury bailed them out, as she does all the time.
And then favorable schedule comparison between Gotham and the Spirit. Gotham play at home against the Orlando Pride. Maybe we'll see. You don't want to let momentum get too much pride. Come on, throw out some of your best players. Let's go.
Yeah, you've already know you're no longer the Invincibles at this point. So why not just are they going to really go for it?
Maybe. And then they are on the road against Utah, who are surging a little bit. They've kept themselves sort of alive in that playoff hunt. So
that's wild that they have.
Yeah,
they were dead and buried, and they couldn't score goals, and now they're 10th. That's bananas. Their goal differential is still -15, but that doesn't matter. That's so crazy. They won last. Did they win 3-0 this weekend?
Or think so. Different? Yeah, well, I think they. I know they definitely have been on a run, so it's definitely been something to watch. But hey, maybe that last game they'll have a little bit more to play for. They'll be a little hungrier. They'll be at home. Maybe to make the playoffs, I think would be a game. They have the Angel City FC at on the road next Sunday, so maybe a match to watch. If they win that game, then they're setting themselves up, or potentially they're playing to make that sort of last that last playoff spot, which I think would be an incredible accomplishment considering how their season started and just how dead they looked to start the year. Anyway, to sort of wrap up the game, 3-1 VAR check. I think the call, if we're talking about the spirit of the offside law, call was probably correct. I think there is an argument whether the attacker is interfering with Kingsbury's line of vision.
Didn't seem like it to me.
Yeah, I have to go back and look. I mean, it did. They never really showed a good angle. I think the better angle would have been like behind the goal type of angle, because then you could have seen it. Like they showed like a side view angle, so it's a little hard to tell. I don't think we ever got any other angle that sort of gave you a different look. So, and maybe it was the referee threw his flag up, the referee called offside, and then there was maybe discussion, and the referee's like, I thought it was, it was more quite checking, did she get a touch to it? No, interfere with the line of vision. Let me just check and make sure there was a touch. And there wasn't a touch that I could see. So, center referee maybe had the view that said there's no impact there if she didn't, unless she touched the ball. If she touched the ball, then we have something. So, my guess, anyway.
Yeah. Lena Solano gets the fourth goal. I think probably the goal of the match for me. Steals Katie Lund and the fullbacks for Racing Louisville had games to forget. Steals a sloppy pass, slaloms past the defender, blasts from outside the 18, and scores. Sort of, I think, still trying to maybe dig out from her red card a couple games ago. It's weird that it's not weird. It's good that she was a player who was drafted. She did not get a lot of time. I didn't really know what her natural position was going to be. But she has really carved herself out as the late game offensive replacement, particularly with Hatch being moved to the starting lineup with Sarr's continued injury. So I don't know where that's going to happen when Sarr returns from health. If she returns from health, I've not heard much about it. I assume, we don't know. She's posting stuff on Instagram. She's hanging out at the park downtown, so she's alive and moving around. So I assume she'll be back for the playoffs. I think they're maybe just trying to hold her out as long as possible. Yeah. I hope they give her some time before that and they don't just throw her out starting in her first game in the playoffs.
Yeah. You would hope. But yeah, I think it's a good goal from Solano. She's the one player you were like, no one from our draft class made it to the roster next year. She's the one player who made it. So, no more draft classes. We don't talk about that anymore. It's all going to be who can sign the most players.
I like if you look at sort of your competition for signing teams, it's different than say MLS, where you have these major markets that are so desirable for international players that it becomes challenging to recruit without money. If you look at NWSL, not really the case. I mean, Houston, no. Seattle, no. San Diego, not really. Angel City, yes. Utah, no. Louisville, no. Portland, no. Bay, Chicago, North Carolina, Kansas City, no. So like as far as when you're looking at where can you be the most desirable, it's what are the best facilities, what are the best off the field sort of accommodations, who's the best coach, and we just stack up. We're the top echelon every single marker you put down. So I like the loss of the draft. I think only benefits a team like Spirit.
It says something to the state, kind of the state of women's soccer, which it's not a good state to be in. It's those, you have to think about those types of things when signing for. You sign for any club in MLS, yes, there might be some differences. The training facility for DC is not as luxurious as the training city facility for LAFC, and that probably does have an impact. But you don't have to concern yourself with, am I going into a situation where the coach is going to be toxic? There's going to be a front office, there's going to be abuse that happens. I mean, we're still seeing it. I mean, there's still, weird cases happening in NWSL where coaches just go and no one knows what happens. There's no report. There's all this investigation. And so it is more about where am I going to go into a situation that's going to be a positive situation where I'm going to be able to flourish. And I'm not going to be stuck, in a situation like the San Diego waiver in right now, which is just atrocious across the board. That whole mess has been sort of percolating, through the season, and probably came to a head with a countersuit and lawsuits and it's just awful situation there. So I mean, you get yourself into the situations, and it's more about, where am I going to be? What's going to be the most positive situation for me? Yeah. So it'll be interesting to see kind of how the future league grows. We still got the season to finish up. Got a game this week, and then they go on an international break. It's like U.S. soccer seasons are always like that last game. It's just like, oh, we got a 2-week break before the last games because of the international break. All right, we got DC next week. Did want to do a little shout out to Boris Now. Did you see his goal for Cameroon?
He's heating up after he hit the post from about that far out for DC United in the previous week. So he was obviously heat checking.
Yeah. So I mean, hey man, the discussion there was a discussion is like, hey, we don't have anybody else on the team that can hit a free kick like that. You would think Mateusz Klich could do it, but Mateusz Klich, great at service. Dude is not a shooter when it comes on a free kick. He's not a lethal shooter. He certainly can serve the ball. He can serve, put the ball on a dime right to an attacker, but doesn't really have that lethal finish. So I don't know, something in Boris Enau's tool bag that I don't know that we thought he had. So certainly a consideration for him. And I think it's great that he's getting starts for Cameroon. I think it's good. He's a player that I think maybe had a rough start. I think a lot of people were maybe ready to chuck to the dustbin after a rough start. I think it shows that, hey, maybe you give some players some more time. And I think we're learning that. So
also in international duty, I believe Aaron Herrera started and got an assist for El Salvador, right?
Yes, I believe so.
So that's cool. And I believe that Maddie played. Did they play England this week? I think in Euro qualifiers.
Possibly, yes.
I think they did. And I think that he played. Let's see real quick. Pretty sure lineups. Not started. And
cool. I'm fine with that. No, sorry, Maddie. But I want you healthy, buddy. Come on.
Yeah, that's true.
Finland's currently bottom of the table right now in the Nations League. They have no hopes. They have 0. They have 4 losses, a -8 goal differential. They just got smacked 3, I believe 3-0 by Greece. They actually, I don't think they play yet. They played today.
Maddie did play. I'm sorry, he did play yesterday and started in the back line. And I think Maddie even played 90 minutes in a 3-1 loss to England. So he made it out alive. That's the thing that matters the most.
Yes.
That's what we care about.
Probably looking at a relegation out of League B for Finland. So that's fine. Hey, man, come tear it up for DC like you did sort of the back half of the year. We need you, buddy. Stay healthy. Everybody, please, on international duty, stay healthy. Please. We need it. All right, folks, I think that's going to do it. We'll be back next Monday to, talk about Spirit, also to wrap up DC United's season, hopefully talking about a playoff game, a hosted playoff game.
I'll be there live and in person, so come say hi if you see me, and hopefully I am enjoying my time and not being really sad on the way back to the Metro.
The DC United media has told me that if they lose, we're not getting media credentials for another year.
Oh no, not again. Not again.
Just kidding. All right, folks. We'll talk to you next Monday. Vamos.
Thank you for listening to RFK Refugees Podcast. Make sure you rate and review the show wherever you download podcasts. If you want to support the show, consider joining our Patreon or subscribing to our channel on Twitch. Lastly, make sure you're following us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, Threads, YouTube, Twitch, Goals.tv, Friendster, MySpace, and Tumblr. Some of those are even real. Vamos.